The new cases have a local family warning others after all 4 of them came down with COVID-19, putting the dad in the hospital.
I called home and I basically talked to my wife and told her goodbye. And I talked to my kids and told them goodbye.
Can you imagine? Wow. Each family member had a different degree of symptoms, from a bad cold to life-threatening.
41 Action News anchor KNUTE shares their story.
For Claire and Grace Green, the pandemic upended their lives. Grace missed prom and the end of her senior year, while Claire missed the end of her club volleyball season. But the impact the virus had on this Shawnee family of 4 went far beyond that, starting when first Claire, then Grace fell ill.
It was kind of just like a cold for me, but my voice was really hoarse and I would say my throat was like pretty dry.
I've never really been sick like that before. Like, I was just so tired. And then just like a migraine the whole week.
At the time, coronavirus cases weren't prevalent in the area. The family says the girls' doctors dismissed it as a run-of-the-mill viral infection, although antibody tests would later confirm they had COVID. Claire was in bed for a few days. For Grace, it lasted a week. Then it hit their parents.
Soon after they got better, I started having symptoms of just achiness, very, very achy, like to the point you feel like you just got hit with a baseball bat all over your back.
KATY Green's husband, Jason, was also complaining of extreme fatigue along with a fever and cough. Together, they drove to the emergency room at Advent Health Shawnee Mission, but when it was time to leave, KATY left alone.
They came in and told me, well, your husband's x-rays definitely look like he has COVID. We'll be testing him, he'll be staying.
She wasn't even allowed to say goodbye.
But I still thought, this is America, they'll fix him, he'll be right back, and it'll be okay.
Sadly, it wasn't. She was sent home, presumed positive to quarantine. 2 days later, Jason was put on a ventilator. While he was fighting for his life, KATY got worse at home, unable to walk up a flight of stairs without difficulty, forcing her to return to the hospital. The girls had to be left home alone for fear of infecting anyone else who might otherwise come stay with them.
It was awful to have them drop me off, and I'm sure in their minds they were worried, what if Mom goes on a ventilator now?
This time she was tested for COVID-19, which confirmed her suspicions. She also learned she was battling the flu. She would stay in the same hospital as her husband, just on a different floor for several days.
At that time, everything was so uncertain. Like, we didn't know if our dad was going to be able to get off the ventilator, and we didn't know how bad my mom was at that time.
Not long after KATY returned home, she received the call she'd been dreading.
I think it would be a good idea for you to come in and talk about end of life and come just say your goodbyes.
But the family wasn't done fighting, and neither was Jason. Amazingly, after 18 days on a ventilator and being in a medically induced coma, he pulled through.
We just had a large group of people that were sending prayers our way and positive thoughts, and you know, I really think that made a difference, and I feel like I had a strong desire to continue with being a part of my family's life.
Jason remembers very little about his hospital stay, but besides the physical toll the illness took on his body, he can recall the moments that left emotional scars, including his last memory before going on the ventilator.
I called home and I basically talked to my wife and told her goodbye, and I talked to my kids and told them goodbye.
Jason stayed in the hospital for almost a month. Before being transferred to a rehabilitation facility, he was finally reunited with his wife and kids, the hospital giving them a heartwarming send-off.
We didn't realize what they had planned, but they had their whole hospital staff there to say goodbye, and that was really special.
These days, life is starting to get back to normal for the Green family. Jason has returned to work, ironically, as the EMS chief for the Overland Park Fire Department, where he'd been working on preparations for COVID-19 even before he got sick.
I'm very thankful for where I'm at. My energy is getting better slowly. I'm continuing to build strength, and I expect those things to continue.
Despite the hardships this family faced, they said family, friends, and the community really pitched in to help, including members of the Overland Park Fire Department who actually came and slept in the driveway at night while both parents were in the hospital and the girls were home alone. The family was able to show their appreciation, eventually visiting the hospital where Katy and Jason were both treated to thank the doctors, nurses, and staff who helped to save their lives. Meanwhile, they hope their story will prompt others to take this virus seriously.
Don't forget that we have a responsibility to one another, and when you choose to live in a community and in a society, it's important that we do things and realize our actions affect the other person.